Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. A good Thursday morning to you all. Hope you guys are having a fabulous start to your day and a great week so far. Got you an update on what is going to potentially unfold here in the weather world across the U.S. today. I'm expecting some active weather across really the middle of the country, but there's other areas that could see some active weather too. I'm not expecting anything near as active as what we saw yesterday. The way it unfolded, I wouldn't necessarily call it a tornado outbreak. We didn't have multiple confirmed tornadoes. We had a couple. But I tell you what, one of these tornadoes looked like a classic, what we call a stovepipe tornado. The structure of it looked like something you would see out of Kansas, like the Wizard of Oz or something like that, something you would see out of Oklahoma. It was a very impressive photogenic tornado, but of course it caused damage. Hadn't heard of any loss of life or anything like that. It looked like it was in some rural areas of Ohio. But I hope you guys are faring well up there in the Ohio Valley this morning and not too much damage was done. But we're going to talk about what's going to potentially unfold today. If you guys have not subscribed, consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If you tuned into the live stream last night, I know it was very sloppy, and then I made the video afterwards. I appreciate some people who have chimed in about what it could be. I'm leaning towards it just flat out being my computer. I really think it is. I don't have a $2,000-$3,000 computer. I have a several $100 computer that I bought off Amazon around this time last year. It was part of an upgrade I did last year, and it really did help to change the game for me somewhat. But that's the thing, is when you have a product like this, a channel, you're always looking for ways to up the game, to increase the setup, to be more appealing for the audience. So, I appreciate the patience. It's a process. I always go back and forth in my mind whether I should invest now, whether I should wait and be patient. But I'm always leaning towards being patient and listening to that feeling that I have and leaning on the guidance God gives me here. And financially, I have some goals for me and my family I want to meet before I invest a lot more into what I have. So, it's always a back and forth thing in my head, and I'm always kind of going back and forth with it. But, that's human nature. That's what we do. But anyways, going past 2 minutes on the intro, I appreciate the support regardless, and definitely chime in if you guys got any advice. I'm not the most tech-savvy guy, which sounds odd coming from somebody who runs a YouTube channel. If you guys saw my setup, you would be like, wow, how do you have 26,000 subscribers? But I've managed to do it. It's all thanks to y'all, so I really appreciate the support. But anyways, I know y'all guys got to get off to work, and I want to get off my soapbox here. But if you guys got anything that I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others a heck of an opportunity to do so too. And we can all glorify God doing it. So let's get rolling this morning. Right now, you have a pretty large area of a slight risk. Now, I will mention this always upgrades about 2 hours after I make these videos, and I always try to link the upgrade into the video around mid-morning when they do potentially upgrade. For example, yesterday the tornado threat increased, and rightfully so, and ended up verifying, and we ended up having some tornadoes in the Ohio Valley yesterday. This has a chance to go enhanced. We got to watch out for this for sure. I'm watching this area right here. Now, the storm coverage is not going to be widespread in Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, but anything that does pop up can be significant. It could be severe. Then you have the marginal risk stretching a part of this part of the country right here. This is really because of a cold front and upper trough that's digging through the area. And typically around this time of the year, they don't typically completely clear the entire southeast. They like to stall out and fizzle out. So you're still going to have high humidity across the coastal regions of the southeast, down into Florida. And then along that frontal boundary, you're going to have a chance for severe storms. A tornado threat is there across areas in Nebraska and Kansas, but it's not high. 2% chance of a tornado, 25 miles. Any given location in this green area right here. The wind threat is there today for anything that pops up. But that's the thing, not everybody's going to see storms. A lot of times this kind of environment sets up out here where you have lack of forcing, or either a cap in the atmosphere. I know a lot of people don't understand what that is. But think of it as basically an area of stable air, a loft meaning above our heads, meaning about a mile, maybe mile and a half, 2 miles above our heads. There's an area in the air that prevents updrafts from really getting going. So that is what we call a cap. So basically the updraft is growing in the lower levels of the atmosphere, hits that stable air. It pretty much stops the growth of these updrafts, which forms these explosive thunderstorms. So that's what a cap is. One of these days, hopefully, I can give you guys a great video, an introduction of what a cap is. Trust me, I'm always learning. There's always more in-depth information than what the surface things of what I say in these videos are. But anyways, you have a hail threat, 15% risk. This is the wind threat, actually. Wind threat, 15% chance of 50 knots or higher wind gusts, damaging wind gusts, which is what that would be depending on where you're at and what you have on the ground, anything like that. Of course, that would blow around a lot of lawn stuff and stuff like that, any chairs, loose debris, things like that, knock down small tree limbs. And then you have a hatch region, this weird funky shape right here, which means you have a chance for more significant wind damage and winds occurring, which is 60 knots or greater in this hatch region. This is a 10% risk in the hatched region right here, underlying or overlying this 15% risk. Hail threat is there, 15% risk of hail approaching 1 inch or diameter or higher. Then in the hatch region right here, you also have a 10% risk in this region right here of a significantly larger hail, which is in 2 inch or diameter or larger in this region. So be careful right here. Water vapor loop, not a whole lot going on. When you look at this, you got a complex of storms kind of in areas of southeast Alabama. But other than that, there's a northwest flow going on here, and there's a punch of dry air moving into the northeast. That will provide a little bit of relief as far as the humidity for these areas and just more of a nicer day across the Ohio Valley. So let's talk about what could unfold today. So this is the north central U.S. I'm showing this first for a reason. First off, we'll start this around mid-afternoon. We got some showers and storms already developing. Watch this piece of energy right here. I have a feeling we're going to have a cluster of storms that forms in South Dakota that might make its way all the way to the Gulf of Mexico throughout the afternoon hours, throughout all the overnight hours tonight into tomorrow morning, all the way into tomorrow morning. But watch this. This gets going. Watch out for this lone storm right here in northern Kansas. This could produce maybe a quick tornado, some large hail damaging winds. Watch out Omaha. Cluster of storms could move in as the sun's already went down, maybe around 9 p.m. as possible, maybe a little bit later. Here comes a cluster of storms forming. This continues to move through. Watch out Kansas City in the wee hours of the morning. I'm talking about 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. These storms are continuing to go here at the bottom of your screen. But notice this area right here is in a slight risk and nothing is popping up. So like I said, you got a slight risk in this entire area. But that doesn't mean you're going to see a storm. But any storms that do form will be severe potentially. Here we go. We're getting into around the 7, 8 p.m. time frame. Maybe a storm here in Kansas. But watch this cluster of storms from the top of your screen work all the way to the bottom. Moving forward here, we're getting into the overnight hours. Watch this cluster of storms move into areas of eastern Kansas, starts to affect areas like Kansas City. This moves into southwest Missouri. This continues to go. Now we're starting to get into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, it's knocking on the door of the Arkansas-Missouri state border. This continues to move through. I think tomorrow morning will be a rocky morning for southern areas of Missouri and northern areas of Arkansas. But watch this cluster of storms continue to move through, slam Arkansas sometime tomorrow morning, like Little Rock, things like that. Watch out Memphis potentially. Moves into northern Louisiana, moves into Mississippi. And then by tomorrow afternoon, it makes it all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. Very impressive area of storms. Watch it go here. I mean, very impressive. But really, we're looking at tomorrow at this point. But there is a chance for severe storms across this entire slight risk today. But I tell you what, the storm coverage, I don't think it's going to be widespread. But it's got that slight risk because, heck, anywhere where a storm can form, it could be severe. We look over here in the southeast, maybe some storms popping up in areas of northern Florida today, the panhandle of Florida. Some hail is certainly possible. Watch out for this, a stalled frontal boundary that's moving very slowly, if at all. Will pop up some storms. It's a big time tropical air mass is kind of strung out just south of this frontal boundary, or southeast, depending on your location. So very humid air in these areas of the country today, ahead of this cold front, and then that is where your storms are probably going to pop off. But there could be some storms here further west in the Carolinas today. Hopefully there is. I didn't pick up much rain here at my location last night, but hopefully we get some more storm coverage Here in the Northeast this morning, it's a very soggy morning for areas like Boston, New England. This huge area of rain associated with this low pressure that caused a tornado threat across the Ohio Valley yesterday afternoon is moving across the Northeast this morning. This could produce some severe storms here in the coming hours. If it's not right now, it could produce here in the next 1 to 3 hours. Watch out Boston, watch out Cape Cod. Could be some big time thunderstorms maybe a little bit later this morning, but I think this will be more of a morning threat. By the time we get into this afternoon, most of it clears out, and there's not really a whole lot to talk about. And then a dry punch of air moves through the Northeast, and more comfortable air moves through. So here's your high temperatures today across the central and eastern U.S. 90s, basically south of this frontal boundary. But you get north of it, you start to get into northern areas of the deep south like northern Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, points north into the Ohio Valley. Highs only in the 70s and 80s, especially 70s here in the Ohio Valley, with some drier air, maybe dew points in the 40s and 50s. And then, heck, by the time you get into the afternoon, it could be a little nippy up here in the higher elevations of the interior Northeast. Might turn out to be, just a kind of a spring, or maybe even you can call it a fall-like day. That's what I would call it, because I love fall. But down here where this front is not crossed, it's going to warm up significantly, I think so, and you're going to have a chance for some strong storms today. But a comfortable day across this part of the country really is more so spring-type temperatures. And here's this punch of dry air. I keep calling it a punch because that's literally what it is. It's not really a wholesale street fight of dry air, if you will, where you're going to get consistent blows of dry air, or just a widespread shift to more of a drier air mass. This really moves through, and you see these dew points in the 50s. That is a much less humid air. When you get dew points in the 50s and lower, you really don't even call that humid air. That's comfortable air. But you're still hanging on to these high dew points, basically high humidity down here in the southeast. But as you're getting into the afternoon hours, see this dry air starts to leak into the southeast a little bit. But how far south does it get? Probably not very far south. It certainly isn't going to make it to Florida, but it might sneak into areas of Georgia, the Carolinas for sure, Virginia, and a much more comfortable morning, I think, Friday morning across most of the eastern U.S. is certainly possible. And I'm telling you guys, go out and enjoy it because the heat is coming. It really is. So I want to give you a brief preview of the tropics. We're going to talk about this a little bit later tonight in this evening's video, but in general, the GFS has convective feedback issues, which means it shows too much convection, which means it shows too much moisture in storms when it comes to the tropics. It also has a high pressure bias, but anyways, we'll talk about that a little bit tonight. In general, this is 162 hours out, so this is just less than a week out. Has a low pressure forming deep in the Caribbean, well south of Jamaica. Has this thing moving north across the Caribbean, a full-fledged hurricane slamming western Cuba, and then we get to about 10 days out, this is bearing down on the western coast of Florida. The GFS is known for this, and it's about 90% of the time wrong. We'll take a look at the Euro for the same kind of system, the same time frame right here. It doesn't show any moisture making its way into the Gulf of Mexico. It really doesn't. That's really because you have more, probably a ridging of high pressure bearing down to the Gulf of Mexico than you do the GFS, which seems to be a battle this year between those two models, and the European is winning so far overall. But we're going to watch the GFS, and we're going to watch the Euro to see if the Euro ticks to anything that the GFS is showing. Because let me tell you something, if the GFS is correct somehow, which it likely isn't, we're going to have a hurricane threat here in the next week or so. But more than likely, it's not. And honestly, it's not even very responsible for me to even show you the GFS, but you're going to see it anyways. People are going to talk about it. People are going to show you hype posts. But the thing is a lot of people post these hype posts without context. They don't really break it down for you guys. So that's what we'll do tonight for sure. But I want to tell you something. The heat is coming. We'll give you a preview of this tonight too. We'll give you some updated information. This is the European model. Now, this isn't the ensembles, which is probably what I should show, but I'm just showing you in general the potential, the high-end potential of this heat wave next week. This is for Monday for high temperatures next week, June 13th. You got hundreds showing up in southern Illinois. You got mid to upper 90s Kentucky, Tennessee, even some 100-degree readings You got the low 100s showing up around Augusta, Columbia, even Charlotte. Big time heat. And of course, you look here in Dallas, Fort Worth, well over 100 degrees is certainly possible. This is going to be some nasty heat next week, folks. So definitely prepare for it. And don't be surprised by it, more importantly, because we're going to talk about this a little bit later tonight. But that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. I appreciate the patience, and I appreciate the support as I grow my product. And I'm telling you guys, one of these days, I'm 30 years old, but one of these days, this is going to be much better for you guys. But I'm always going to keep it personal, and I'm never going to change to the person that I'm really not. But I am looking forward to the day where I can get to the point where I can certainly make this presentation a heck of a lot better for you guys. But that's all I got. God bless all y'all. You have an awesome day, and I'll talk to y'all this evening.